Hi, this is Brian, and I want to talk to you guys today about pseudo elements in CSS. So there are 5 pseudo elements in CSS that we can access that I want to look at with you here, and that's first letter, first line, selection, before and after. Now, pseudo elements, if you think about the word pseudo means fake or not real, right? These are sort of fake elements or kind of sort of like elements, but they're not. So let's take a look at this web page with just a h1 tag and a couple of p tags here. And let's say you wanted to style this first letter of this this first paragraph as something that stands out. You want to turn that T into like a larger font, a little bit bolder. So if you think about how you could do that with HTML, you could put a span around the T. You could give that span an ID or a class and style it. Well, a great thing about CSS3 is it introduced some pseudo elements, and we now have access to these different options here. And this one pseudo element first letter allows you to style the first letter of a text element like a p tag. And so for example, let's say I want to style the first letter of all p tags. Remember, if you access the p tag and you just say something like let's just do this real quick, font weight, bold, and let's do font size, and let's go with 36 pixels. Well, we just this here styles the entire paragraph, right? If we go back to the text, now we got this huge text here. Well, that's not what we want. We just want the first letter. So utilizing the pseudo element, which in order to access that, you do the 2 colons followed by the first letter. So P colon colon first letter will style the first letter of each paragraph with the styles provided. So let's go back and take a look. Now we see the first letter of each of our paragraphs is styled with those styles. So going back, let's say I want to access just this first paragraph. So I gave it an ID of par 1, paragraph 1. And so in my styles, I'm going to change this to par-1, and that's an ID, so I need to give it the hashtag. Okay, so now I'm just singling out this first paragraph and styling the first letter. Now, another pseudo element we have access to is first line. So let's say we want to style the first line of the paragraph with some bold text or something. Well, if we go back here again, this one's got an ID of part 2. So in our CSS, we can go hashtag par2 colon first line, and then we're going to give our first line some styles. So let's say the first line is just bold. So let's say font weight bold, and go back here and you can see first line has a font weight of bold. Now if I shrink the screen, notice that as the words collapse down to the next line, they're no longer bold. So it's truly, regardless of screen size, it is styling just the first line, regardless of how many words or whether they break onto the next line. Okay, so again, pseudo elements, first letter and first line allow you to access the first letter and the first line of your text element. Another pseudo element you have access to is selection. Now, let's say we want to access all p tags. Oops. The selection pseudo element is when you select some text. So like with my cursor, I select some text. Notice it highlights there, gives it a blue background by default. Well, I can change that using the selection pseudo element. So let's say we want to just to demonstrate how this works, we can give it a different color. Let's say color red, and let's say background color. We'll go with yellow just so it stands out here. We can see that. So if we go back over here now, we highlight something. There it is. The text turns red and we're highlighting it yellow. So basically overriding the default blue that the browser put in there, the blue background. So again, we have first letter, which again, I want to have you take a look at the inspector and think about this for a second. Is why do we call it a pseudo element, right? Because it's not actually like inserting. There's no element there. You know, if I look at my p tag here, there's no span around the T. There's nothing that's like technically being inserted into your HTML to get this styles to happen. This is purely CSS. And again, you can see that with this as well. You know, again, there's nothing being added. There's no like span being added around that first line. It is simply CSS happening in the browser. Close this. Go back. Okay, now let's take a look at just a couple more. We also have access to the before and the after pseudo elements. And what that allows you to do is to insert some content before or after an element. So to demonstrate this, let's take you know, the P tags again, and let's just say before. So we're going to essentially insert the pseudo element before our paragraph text. And to insert something, we need the content property here, and the value can just be whatever text or whatever we want to put in there. So let's just say we want to put an asterisk. We want to stick an asterisk before our paragraphs. Now, when we jump back over here, we can see I've got an asterisk showing up in front of our paragraphs. You know, this can be anything. We could put some text in there. And we can see, you know, it's inserting that. Now, we can also insert images. So I'm going to use the H1 selector, and I'm going to insert, so I'm going to use the after pseudo element. And the content this time is going to be a URL. And my URL is my you know, URL to an image in this case. So I have an image called braces.png in the images directory. So again, this is selecting the any H1 tag, and it's going to insert this content after the H1. So if I go back to the screen, there it is. There's my image that's being inserted. So again, just in summary, you have access in CSS to a number of pseudo elements. The first letter, I'm sorry, yeah, first letter, first line, selection, before and after.